may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to catch Laylatul Qadr. Everyone say Ameen. I wanted to take tonight to do a quick primer, inshallah ta'ala, as to how we can make the most of these last 10 nights, as to 10 ways that we can make the most of the next 10 nights. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to catch Laylatul Qadr. Allahumma Ameen. And so inshallah ta'ala, I'm just going to go through 10 tips, bi'idhnillah. Some of them are well known to you. Some of them maybe have been an afterthought in the previous cycles of the last 10 nights. And we know, mashallah, we have so many people that are observing Ramadan with us for the very first time. And so I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow this to be a benefit to us in some way. The first tip, dear brothers and sisters, is to avoid the sins of the day. I think that this is one of the most underestimated elements of the last 10 nights. Throughout the year, لا تعصه بالنهار يوقظك بالليل. Do not disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the day. He will wake you up at night. If you sin during the day, you shut the doors of the heavens for you at night. You might be entering into the night with a sin that has displeased Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is throughout the year. So how about then with the last 10 nights of Ramadan and the potential of Laylatul Qadr? You don't want to be entering into Salatul Maghrib and you have the ghadab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the anger of Allah already upon you due to a sin that you committed during the day of Ramadan. So please, inshallah ta'ala, be very mindful, especially mindful of the sins that you commit during the day. So that's number one, avoid the sins of the day. Number two, avoid conversations at night. Avoid conversations at night. Now, during the day, obviously, you'll have to work, you'll have to socialize, you'll have to do things with family, whatever it may be. But at night, as Imam ibn Qudamah rahimahullah mentions, that most of the ways that the blessing of Laylatul Qadr is lost is when people mix with one another too much during the night, and then it's only natural that at some point your tongue slips. It slips into some form of backbiting, a little bit of gossip, a little bit of a hint there. Dear brothers and sisters, if you haven't had your iftar parties yet, don't do them in the last 10 nights. And this is not the time to congregate and to hang out. MashaAllah, we enjoy seeing each other, we enjoy socializing. But in these last 10 nights, try to prioritize yourself. Try to prioritize your ibadah. Join the gatherings where we are remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala together. But this is not a time of socializing. This is not a time of conversation. So avoid the sins of the day. Avoid the conversations of the night. Number three, very self-explanatory, but something that we might lose. Catch Isha and Fajr in congregation. Sa'id al-Musayyib rahimahullah said, whoever prays Isha in Jama'ah, in congregation, would have taken their fortune of Laylatul Qadr. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that whoever prays Isha in congregation, it is as if they have the first half of the night, and whoever prays Fajr in congregation is as if they have the last half of the night. It is more precious to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you catch Isha and Fajr in congregation than you spend the whole night in prayer. So prioritize being here for Salatul Isha and Salatul Fajr. Number four, pray with the Imam a full set. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that whoever prays behind the Imam in Qiyam until the Imam finishes, then that person has caught the entire night of prayer. Now, there are multiple interpretations of that hadith, by the way. So if you have two imams, for example, and one imam is leading the first half, the second imam is leading the second half, does it count if you pray just with the first imam? If you have in the last third of the night, obviously we do 3 o'clock qiyam here, and you pray with that imam the entire time, does that count as a full night? The answer is all of them could count, and the more you do, the better. Obviously, if a person wants to pray the full 20, that is the best. There's no doubt about it. But if a person only prays with one imam throughout the night, behind them as they recite, then inshallah ta'ala, we hope that that would be enough to achieve this particular reward. Number five, read the Qur'an extra throughout the night. Seems very self-explanatory, but it's actually missed sometimes. Qatada rahimahullah, he used to finish the Qur'an every 3 days of Ramadan, but then he would do a khatma every night of the last 10 nights. And there's a general trend that you find amongst the Salaf, amongst the pious predecessors, that they increase their recitation of the Qur'an, their wird, in the last 10 nights specifically. So even if you're trying to finish a certain amount during the day, by the way, it is one of the most beautiful things that you surpass your Qur'an reading goal. So if you wanted to finish one khatam, for example, in Ramadan, and you're doing a juz a day, if you finish 1.5, that's better than one. And it'll kickstart you, inshallah ta'ala, into Shawwal, so that maybe you have a khatam at the end of Shawwal as well. But read more Qur'an in the nights, in the last 10 nights, than you do during the rest of Ramadan, especially during the day of Ramadan. And subhanAllah, the very first word revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on this night was Iqra, read. And surely in that is a sign that you honor the Qur'an with these nights. So try to increase your share of the Qur'an as you read. Don't diminish what you're reading in the day. Increase what you're reading in the night. Bidnillahi ta'ala. Number 6, the dua of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he taught Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha. Allahumma innaka afuwan tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Aisha radiyallahu anha asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if I find myself in Laylatul Qadr, what should I recite? The Prophet ﷺ said, say, Allahumma innaka afuwan tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Oh Allah, you are the forgiver, you love to forgive, so forgive me. Read this dua throughout the night. Start your du'as with it, end your du'a with it. Read it between the personal du'as that you are making, inshallah ta'ala. But there's nothing more blessed than the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ in what du'as that we should make in this regard. Number 7, make du'a and dhikr even while you are in motion. I'm going to explain what I mean here. When we take Hajj groups, and may Allah write us down from the Hujjaj and Laylatul Qadr as well. Allahumma ameen. I always tell people, don't waste the day of Arafah when you're waiting in line for this and waiting in line for that. Even that is a time of dua. As you're walking, it's a time of dua. As you are moving, it's a time of dua. As you're driving, it's a time of dua. You want to make use of every single moment. And some of the blessed afkar are the ones that are coming just as you are moving from place to place, going from house to masjid, wherever it may be. Even if you're waiting in line for your suhoor, keep your tongue busy with dua and dhikr even while you are in motion on that night. Treat that night like every single second matters. Treat that night like every single second matters. Number 8, increase your prostration. Increase your sajda on these nights. Where do I get that from? First and foremost, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man qama Laylatul Qadr, imanan wa ihtisaban, ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbihi." That obviously the general rule is whoever stands up on the night of Laylatul Qadr with faith and seeking the reward, then they will be forgiven for all of their sins. But the best part of Qiyam is the best part of Salah, a'inni ala nafsika bi kathrati as-sujud, is to increase the time of your sajda. And in fact, subhanAllah, right before you read Inna anzalnahu fi Laylatul Qadr, the last words of the surah is what? That came down before it. Wasjud waqtarib. Wasjud waqtarib. Prostrate and come closer. Prostrate and come closer. So increase the time of your sujood. Take your du'as with you to your sujood, inshallah ta'ala, during the night as you make these special forms of worship in these special nights. Number 9, giving and charity. Now I'm going to start off here when I say giving and charity that there is nothing that suggests explicitly that the Prophet ﷺ gave more charity in the last 10 than he did the rest of Ramadan. However, subhanAllah, many of the scholars of suluk, they say, look at two things. The scholars of spirituality say, look at two things. Charity has two effects. Number 1 is increase, and you seek increase in the night of Laylatul Qadr, which is increase. Number 2, تطفئ غضب الرب, as the Prophet ﷺ said. Charity, especially sadaqatul sir, secret charity, extinguishes the anger of the Lord. And on a night of increase, where the greatest reward that you could seek is forgiveness, what better than an act that you do every single night, inshallah ta'ala, that is associated with increase and associated with the extinguishing of the anger of the Lord. So if you're automating charity, or if you're giving charity yourself, or if you see someone, whatever it is, be someone who is open to charity in these last 10 nights constantly, as you are to all good deeds. Number 10. Spend the last few moments of every single one of these 10 nights in istighfar and seeking forgiveness. وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. And during the time of suhoor, that time, they are seeking forgiveness. This is during regular times. What about the last 10 nights? What I mean by that is that sometimes people will be eating and socializing until the very last minute. And it might be that in that last minute of one of those 10 nights, you say, oh Allah, forgive me. O Allah, accept my good deeds despite their shortcomings. O Allah, accept me despite my shortcomings. That in those last few moments of istighfar and asking Allah for acceptance, that the whole night is overlooked. And if the whole night was accepted, then a whole lifetime of reward is granted. So spend the last few moments, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, making istighfar, seeking forgiveness. Prioritize the last 5 minutes before the adhan al-fajr, every single one of these last 10 nights, inshallah ta'ala, and seeking forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma ballighna Laylatul Qadr. Allahumma ballighna Laylatul Qadr. Allahumma ballighna Laylatul Qadr. Oh Allah, allow us to observe Laylatul Qadr. Oh Allah, allow us to observe Laylatul Qadr. Oh Allah, allow us to observe Laylatul Qadr. There is a reason why the Prophet ﷺ observed all 10 of the last 10 nights, even though we know that Laylatul Qadr falls on one of the odd nights. For one, we really do not know which night it's going to be this year. And we don't know which of the nights are truly odd, and therefore, it is important, inshallah ta'ala, for us to observe every single one of these nights until the end of Ramadan. Imagine if you miss Laylatul Qadr because your odds were off or your evens were off. And then you show up on Yawm al-Qiyamah and you say, I followed the wrong moon sighting calculation or the wrong opinion or whatever it is. Observe each and every single one of these last 10 nights because you don't know where that treasure is. There's a lot to unpack about the beautiful night itself. For one, how is it that it's the night of decree? Aren't our deeds already decreed, or aren't our lives and all of these things already decreed with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a lawh al-mahfuz, in the preserved tablet? Yes. But on this particular night, on Laylatul Qadr, when it takes place, and we know that it will take place sometime in these last 10 nights, and this particular night, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows for your decree to be downloaded. Let's use terminology that we can understand. For the year to come, from Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, from the preserved tablet, into the records of the angels. And those records contain everything that will happen for the next year, including, by the way, those who will go to Hajj. So if you want to make the intention for Hajj this year, now is the time. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala write it down for us, an accepted Hajj bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Allahumma ameen. This is the time for you to start planning, inshallah, and you really want to be found in a state of observance on these nights, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees you in a state worthy of good. And the Prophet ﷺ said, nothing prolongs a person's life like charity and dua. Okay, like charity and dua. So good deeds and supplication and charity actually prolong one's life. So it may be that in these decrees that come down in the records of the angels, and that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means when He says, Yamhu Allahu ma yasha, Allah erases what He wills and confirms, that what is in the record of the angels will take into consideration what Allah knows of you to come for the next year. And so something might change because of how Allah sees you in that observant state. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to let our qadr, let our decree be good, and it is always good for the believer, because if he is struck with something that is apparently good, then he praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of gratitude. And if he is faced with something that is apparently bad, then he is patient with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so it still becomes a means of elevation for him. Dear brothers and sisters, what are some things for us to do? I just want to kind of go over these last 10, inshallah ta'ala, and just some important tips for us to take into consideration. There's really a beautiful statement from an Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah ta'ala, that I came across, and it's actually within the article I wrote about this statement in particular, that I find very powerful. I remember the first time, when I went to Hajj, and there were some people in Arafah, and there was a brother that was reading Qur'an, and someone went up to him and yelled at him and told him, Arafah is time for dua, not a time for reading Qur'an. And I thought to myself, well, okay, Arafah is a time for dua. Arafah is specified as a time for dua, and the Prophet ﷺ used to raise his hands from the beginning of Dhuhr all the way until the sunset, right? It's supposed to be a day of dua. But then I came across narrations of some of the Salaf taking breaks from their dua and reading Qur'an. And I thought to myself, subhanallah. So did it lose its quality of dua, that the main act of worship should be dua? Or is the point of Arafah and the point of those specified times that you stay engaged in worship, even if you're going to break away for a moment from dua or from some time from dua? How does this relate to Laylatul Qadr, these last 10 nights? They are nights of standing in prayer. They are nights of supplication. And certainly the best thing that you can do is to stand in prayer and to enjoy as much of salah as you possibly can in these last 10 nights. But Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah said something very beautiful. He said that the way that Laylatul Qadr started was with a word to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Iqra, read, right? So the very first command of Laylatul Qadr to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was read. And the end of that surah is what? The end of that chapter which was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which commenced revelation on Laylatul Qadr. What's the end of what is the end of the surah? Prostrate and come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do sujood and come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Shafi'i rahimahullah, he said, so the night of Laylatul Qadr should be spent with everything from Iqra to Wasjud waqtarib. Reading, prayer, prostrating, and coming close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And everything in between. Meaning what? If you need to switch to different types of ibadah, have a healthy diversity of the types of good deeds that you're going to be doing in these 10 nights, the point is stay engaged. So switch from reading Qur'an to making dua, to standing up and praying, to listening to the lecture, enjoying the halaqah and reflecting, to some time where you just sit and you do tasbih and dhikr and remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But everything should be within those bounds of reading and engaging in that dua and engaging in that act of worship to the ultimate act of worship, which is to prostrate and to come close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so all of these good deeds are fine. And you want to also be very careful and understand that what you really don't want to do on Laylatul Qadr is let Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala find you in a state of disobedience. All right. So and Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala pointed out, as many of the scholars did, that in times in which good deeds are multiplied, the severity of sins is also compounded. Because it's like you're turning away from an opportunity from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a time where you should be doing good. Imagine Ramadan, the shayateen are locked away, and then now the angels are descending in these last 10 in particular to where they are like the pebbles on the earth, more plentiful than the pebbles on the earth, and you still find a way to be satanic. You still find a way to display behavior that's pleasing to the shayateen rather than all of these angels that are surrounding and descending. You still find a way to cancel that mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala coming upon you. So watch yourself in these particular last 10 nights. Don't get caught in iftar, because the night begins at Maghrib, by the way. Don't get caught in iftar over a conversation or suhoor or something else, backbiting or saying something that you really don't need to be saying and canceling the blessings of that night. So that's the first thing, is watch yourself. Diversify your good deeds and then watch yourself from any sin. Because if there are any times to watch yourself, it's now, in these particular last 10 nights, and you've had the preparation of Ramadan. Engaging in dua, we know that the supplication that the Prophet ﷺ recommended is what? Allahumma innaka afuun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Or Allahumma innaka afuun kareemun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. Oh Allah, you love to forgive. You are an afu. You are the one who forgives. You are generous and benevolent. You love to forgive, so forgive me. This is the most beloved dua. Just like in Arafah, the Prophet ﷺ said the best dua is لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. The Prophet ﷺ gave a line because it's a long period of time. So when you find yourself blanking and trying to think of the next dua or trying to connect or walking, then go ahead and repeat that dhikr. So repeat that dua. So in times when you're transitioning, that's the best dua for you to repeat, but don't only treat it like a transition, because it is the most special dua that you could make. And just like the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that the best dhikr in Arafah is everything that comes around La ilaha illallah, is the praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the best du'as on Laylatul Qadr are the ones that entail forgiveness. Because there's nothing in the decree that is more precious to you that you should be seeking than the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's also good if you want to have some other good deeds that you do in these last 10, don't overlook kindness and generosity as you're walking into people, bumping into people. By the way, the night of Qadr was lost. The day was lost because of what? An argument. We lost the day because of an argument. So how would it look if on Laylatul Qadr you got into a fight with someone in the masjid? Because you said, go over there and don't pray here and do this and handle your kids. And then Of course, security has to do that, but they can do it in a kind way, inshallah ta'ala. But how bad is it if that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees you on that night? The night was lost because of arguing. So don't be one of those people that lets their ego get in the way and gets into an argument with someone over something silly. It would be better for you to be patient when something distracts you and maintain the blessing of your night. And in fact, seek the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your patience than to blow up on somebody because you want to read Qur'an and do dhikr. Because by the time you get back to your Qur'an and dhikr, you would have lost everything in the first place. So be patient with people and show generosity and smile at people as you walk and as you encounter people. Give salam. And if you can even respond and give sadaqah, inshaAllah ta'ala, exert yourself in charity as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a good ending to this Ramadan. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decree for us, bisn al-khitam, a good ending from this life, and grant us al-firdaus al-a'la and the companionship of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the righteous company. Allahumma ameen.